What's going on, Legionnaires, and welcome back to Comic Breakdown. If you're new to the channel, do me a favor and hit that sub button, hit that notification bell, and make sure you're not missing any of the awesome content we have coming out. Now, for this video, we're going to be diving into some more indie comics, and this indie comic is going to be Intergalactic Deathmatch by NUKEM COMICS. Now, this is created by George Dagan and Ron Dagan, as well as Randy Amoroso. Now, this is written by the Dagan brothers. It's written by Amoroso and Taylor Smith. Pencils, inks, and colors are Alzir Alves, and letterers are by Letter Squids. Now, I chose this one just because it's a little bit different than everything else we've been covering. You know, this isn't on the superhero level so much so as the celebrity deathmatch that we saw when we were younger on the old animated claymation stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Celebrity deathmatch. It really reminded me of that, so I was like, I have to pick this up, find out exactly what's going on with it. And so after witnessing the brutality of society via a randomized event on the street, an overlord from the planet Chaos, a realm where the fighting to the death is not only a right, but a way of life. Inspired by a chance encounter with an old fighting show, while blitzed out of his mind following a rough day at work, the wheels and cogs of his demented brain began to turn, launching into action the most vile and bloody gladiator fight in the history of the galaxy, known as the Intergalactic Deathmatch. Now, with that being said, let's dive into this breakdown. So as we get into the opening pages of this issue, we're met immediately with an intergalactic deathmatch. An intergalactic deathmatch with our current champion, Soul Rocket. Now, Soul Rocket is freaking awesome. He kind of looks like Jax from Mortal Kombat, but with an afro and a pick in his hair. And right now, they're doing a gauntlet match. And they roll a kill cam for us, and what we see here is Soul Rocket just absolutely devastating everybody in this arena. Now, his gauntlets are kind of unique, because as his name says, you know, Soul Rocket, his arms are more or less rockets. When he goes to punch, it accelerates, giving it that much more force and power. And with this kind of strength, he literally can just crack skulls open. And we see one of these guys get taken and flung into the crowd. As he gets thrown into the crowd, his knife goes literally into some guy's eye. Like, this comic is just brutal. And it doesn't stop there, because Soul Rocket, he still got some more kills going on. And as we watch the kill cam, people's heads are getting decapitated. It's blood, it's gore, it's guts, it's just horrific, and the people, they love it. They are cheering, they're excited, they want more. And we see Soul Rocket literally just explode this guy's head. Eyeballs, brain matter, everything, they're just going everywhere. And our commentator let us know that Soul Rocket just made that guy look like his head was a freaking donut hole. And this fight starts to come to an end. And Warren Dallas, our commentator, just letting us know, you know, we'll be back next week for another bloody, ridiculous beatdown. And this is where we see our Overlord for the first time. Now, our Overlord's a weird looking guy, kind of with tusks. He kind of looks like an orc almost, to be completely honest. But then we're taken 25 years ago, and we have our Overlord sitting here watching some ad on his TV, and it's about TerraCore Industries, about terraforming planets to create an entirely new world. And he loses it. He's just like, I can't stand this anymore, smashes the TV. Like, he can't take watching another one of those terraforming commercials. He's just gonna lose his mind. And so, brooning and upset, he leaves, goes outside, gets inside of his car, and just kind of takes off. Now, as his driver is taking him along, his driver swerves and kind of hits the side of the railing. And so everything is just really ticking this guy off. And this is when they have to end up stopping, because there's a fight going on, and our Overlord wants to watch this. He wants them to finish this fight, and he watches as one guy smashes in another guy's brains. And as the guy walks away, the Overlord realizes, you know, they'll fight like this over pretty much anything. You know, at the end of the day, we are all just brutes. We suppress it with the rules and laws and expectations, but it's still there, underneath the surface. We're all just one bad day from ripping out the other guy's throat. You can't take away instinct. Survival of the fittest at the end of the day is always there underneath the surface, regardless of what we try to pretend to be. We're vile, violent creatures. And so with this little show being said and done, he makes his way back to his condo apartment. And this gets him to thinking, like, how ridiculous and how pathetic that they'll fight over anything. But he got entertainment out of it. And making his way to his apartment, he pours a glass of wine and goes and sits down and watches some TV. And on the TV, he's watching kind of like an MMA match. And what he sees here is people getting beat up, but they're not taking it to the next level. They're not taking it to the extreme. And he sees this and thinks, you know, what was glorious about that? What was so amazing that this kept my attention? But he also realizes that the people love it. That these guys beat the crap out of each other and the crowd goes nuts. And so he thinks to himself, of course, they would pay hundreds of dollars to sit in those seats, and probably even more for areas he calls the splash zone, which we can only assume is where you get hit with blood. And this is where the idea, the title first forms of the Intergalactic Deathmatch. And this is where we pick up in present day. Him sitting in the owner box watching as Soul Rocket does his little victory lap. And as the show ends, he goes down to Soul Rocket and tells him, you know, he did a great show as usual, but tells him, you know, next time go for the guts. Give him a real show. And this is where Soul Rocket does his kind of little interview, or goes to do his interview. And our Overlord, with his security, goes to a different location. Now, Soul Rocket's sitting here talking with our commentator, Dallas. And really what we're seeing is Soul Rocket just playing the persona. Being and playing the character that everybody expects him to be. And as this interview comes to a close, we pick up and we see Overlord. Now, Overlord is now getting ready to do this interview. And it's really, you know, just the basic, what's going to be in our next match? What can we expect from it? What did you think of it? But what we can really pull away from all of this is their conversation about the 25th anniversary coming up. Now, it's been 25 years since the first Intergalactic Deathmatch. Now, his old business partners, the Overlords, they'd all been brutally murdered. But he tells us, you know, in a planet filled to the brim with violence, is it even that important to solve a single murder of absolute POSs? Like, does it really matter? They weren't good people, so who cares? Let's focus on what we've got going on here. And so this interview comes to a close, and we see the Overlord making his exit, headed to the office of the Supreme Overlord. Now, as he's headed up there, he remembers 25 years ago. He remembers meeting all of the other Overlords up in the office, all of his business partners, coming to them with the idea for the Intergalactic Deathmatch. And all of them immediately oppose it. There's like, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. You're stupid. I can't believe that you would even suggest something like that. Just shut up, sit down, let us come up with all of these ideas. You know, we'll throw you a bone when we need your opinion. Now, obviously, this infuriates him. You know, he knows that this could be successful. He sees the money and the opportunity. And as everybody laughs at him, he gets up, goes over to the wall full of weapons, and grabs a spear. Grabbing one of the spears, he chucks it at his partners. And we see them brutally murdered on the spot. And that will be the end of this issue. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Personally, I think it was a lot of fun. Very brutal, very, very full of gore. But it's definitely unique. You know, it's something that we don't always see. We're seeing the beginnings of the Intergalactic Deathmatch and how it was born into violence. The very beginning of this started with the murder of an entire board of individuals. And it seems that it's only progressing to get more and more violent as time goes along. And now with the 25th anniversary right around the corner, you can only assume that this next match, the 25th anniversary match, is going to be the most bloodiest and brutal and goriest of all the fights there are. But yeah, let me know what you guys think down in the comments. If you have not yet, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and hit that notification bell. And until the next video.